Yo, what is up, everybody? I'm Unknown Silent. Today I'm coming at you with some testing for Kassandra A0 versus A1, and I'm also using Wukong as a comparison. Wukong is A5. I'm using him as a comparison because some people are saying that she's better than him. I don't know if that's going to stand true here today, but we shall see. Big thank you to Baz. He's let me use his account here. I did pull A1 Cassandra as well, but I do not have the skill crystals to skill her up and do the testing. So I'm using Baz's account. He also pulled A1. I would also like to give a shout out to Baz's new Discord server. He's just made it. It's got almost 100 members, maybe just over now, but it's growing fast and we're having a lot of fun in there. Anyway, let me quickly just change Cassandra into the team for Wukong and show you the placements I'm going to be using and the gear. The only person whose gear matters is Cassandra's for this test. I'm not going to bother you or boring you with everyone else's right now. I will show you their gear at the end in case you want to use this as a guide to get your 60k with Cassandra. She's in pretty good gear and she is in a lot of rage regen. The reason for this being is her talent. Her talent gives her 0.5% of damage for every 1 point of rage regen, with almost 60 points of rage regen in her kit right now. She is going to be doing another 30% damage. For most people that don't understand all the damage in the game just yet, that is almost the equivalent of having an Infernal Roar set on top of her build as it is. It's a lot of extra damage. First person I'm placing is Cassandra, then Kagiri, then Narissa off to the left, facing to the right. Then I'm going to place Diao, swap Diao, place Numera, place Eloin facing downwards, turn on auto ults, placing Vaughn, Leia, Drillin, and then Nastier in the top corner. These placements are pretty default, they're just changing up like a few heroes, but the placements are used a lot. This just keeps everyone in Narissa range and gets as many of our units in Eloin range as we can. Everyone is in her ult range. Everybody's ults are going to be on, including Cassandra's, on ×2. This is because she does more damage in that form overall throughout the length of the fight. Remember, the only person I'm really looking at for damage is Cassandra. Or ults will be how I'm doing this, because I'm not going to go through with finicky timings that I have to try and min-max. So what I'm going to be doing averages. Every time that I either do the Awakening or do a run, they're going to be run 5 times, and the average is going to be their result. Meteoric Deluge, I should get away with this here. Perfect. I'm going to turn off Cassandra here and save her ult now until we get back to the physical phase. I can leave Draylen on though, so I will. The physical phase will start back up at 4:14-ish. So I'm going to ult Kagiri, wait for the worst to appear, then ult Cassandra. And then making sure that both of her buttons go back on so it's the 200% ultimate. Storm Surge, going to place my Wood Elf. Nice of Kagiri to break that shield for us, which means Cassandra gets to ult during the vulnerable phase. Right now she's sitting at about 88k. Remember, magical phase now. I'm going to turn off Cassandra, Draylen, and Kagiri. Not very much damage can be done here. Placing the Wood Elf for the Seismic Slam to keep everybody alive. Then Meteoric Deluge. I'm going to ult with Draylen and Kagiri. Now I'm going to turn Drillin all aughts back on and wait for that to happen. The physical phase is now back and all aughts are back on full auto all the way till the end of the fight. This is going to be tested 5 times. I'm then going to get the average. That will be showing at the end of this video. I'm not breaking this last physical shield. I could spend the time to do it. It just makes the run a lot more difficult. I think going to the shield is a good enough example of what these heroes are capable of. Anyway, that's the first run done. I'll show you her score for this run. I will be putting in the blood and then her score on its own. And that's going to be done 5 times for the average. And then, of course, I'll do the same for A1, and we'll see the difference that A1 makes, and if she is better than A5 Wukong. See you in 2 seconds. And we're back. It's pretty easy now. I've just done the last run of the 5 for A0. Getting pretty good damage here though, close enough to Numera, 141k. Gonna go ahead, awaken her to A1, get this A1 testing done, and then we shall have our results, and I will have that on screen for you at the end. There it goes. Baz, your Cassandra is A1. Nice to see. We're going to do the first run together, and then I'm going to leave you and give you the results at the end. I'm going to delay Kagiri from ulting because I realized that during the Worm's Wrath, when he was ulting, it was causing it to kill Drillin. Drillin's okay, so I can just put him back on autos. It was a weird bug that was occurring. It was killing our Drillin, and then I wasn't able to do the runs. It took me about half an hour to figure it out, so I have been at it for a while now, but figured out what was causing the death of Drillin, and then was able to get the runs done. Of course, changing Kagiri's timing may have been a slight influence. Doubt it will be too much unless it changed the timing on, of course, the shields, which it didn't. Of course, they go off for the magic phase. I'm going to speed it up now because we don't want to waste all of your time. Seismic Slam, placing our Wood Elf. Drakes below can be ignored. Meteoric Deluge. Make sure to ult with Drillin and then Kagiri. Back to ×1 pretty soon because we need to timing out Kagiri and Cassandra's ult as we go back into the physical phase at 415, 414, around that second mark. Gonna ult with my Kagiri, ult with Drillin, and then ult with Cassandra, and then they can all go back on autos, making sure she is on 200%. Worm's Wrath. I can fly through this bit now. No, I can't because Drillin's died. That is unfortunate. I'm going to go back for it. I'm going to get these runs done. and then I'll come back to you with the results at the end. And we're back. We've done the final run for the A1 testing. She got 165 on this final run. This is funny enough the lowest I got on all of her testing. She is surprisingly close to Wukong. I'm going to go over some of the gear, mainly just hers. Hers in particular is all that matters. We have Leia, we have Eloin. None of these guys can give her rage regen, so she is just being given inspiration by Narissa, because Narissa is A5, so it goes to Kagiri and her. And then, of course, damage boosts, like Leia's damage boosts that she gives, and Draelin's shields are able to reach her because of A1. So, her gear mainly just revolves around this rage regen. Unlike Wukong, that would typically use flat attack like Kagiri and most other DPS, she wants rage regen in the space we would be using flat attack. That is because of her basic talent / skill. It's more of a passive, but they put it up in her talent up here. Gains 0.5% damage for every point of rage regen. Another thing I did realize within my runs with her and how many runs I've now done with her, the auto casting on her ult is a bit temperamental. Sometimes it goes right when it should, and sometimes it makes her wait a good 7 seconds before using her ultimate. So if you are trying to min-max her completely, do just hit her ult as soon as it hits those 200 points and get her ults going and cycling as best as you can. Of course, you can't recharge her ults faster with any of the rage regen heroes in the game. I've got her in Watch Guard. You can use her in Arbiter for slightly better damage, but I thought to be fair to Wukong, I would use them both in the same set, which is what I've done. Of course, the bias for this build is towards her. Wukong prefers the flat attack. He does do alright with about 20% to lower 40% rage regen. 60% is far too much for a good Wukong build. But let's go and take a look at our final results. They are in. And it's pretty close. There they are. Wukong A5 did average out above her, but what I found was that she was more than close enough for newer players. If you were going to run her as a replacement for Wukong, I wouldn't recommend it unless you are above A2 or even A3. I reckon A2 would edge out Wukong for damage, and especially if you built her in some Hell's Lament maybe. I know, yet again, Wukong does do better in Hell's Lament in the same kind of gear plan, mainly because of how many like rage regen ults I had going with Leia and Eloin in the comp. But so close. I didn't expect it to be this close. She actually beat Wukong on one of the runs. All of the runs are down here in the corner. One of the runs, she did beat him with 175 versus his 174. He did almost get it though. It's pretty close to those highest runs. But Cassandra A1 did beat A5 Wukong in one singular run. And I reckon if people min-max her, she will have a great potential as a replacement for Wukong in Abyss. Don't be scared of using her. I recommend using her now, and she was so easy to use. The only thing is you do lose the utility of Wukong and that res. That save can come in handy, especially if you're breaking the last physical shield and going into that last magical phase. The revive can be much more than you expect it to be. So don't just be like, oh, Wukong's now trash. He still works. He's still a great hero. But we do have a second option for DPS. Thank you again to Baz. Please do like, subscribe, leave a comment below, and please tell me what you pulled on your Ancients and who else you got other than the Assassins, of course. Peace out.